If I was asked to put together the top 10 games that I hated the most during the NES era, I would put Castlequest at numbers 1, 2, and 3. Mainly just because of the fact that there's 3 syllables in the name, and I can justify putting it on this list 3 times. This game it's one of those types of games where it seems simple enough to get it, but, you know, in the sense where some games that come out, it takes you a while to kind of wrap your brain around them before you master them and really get to the meat of the game where it all sort of clicks and makes sense. This game never really seems to make sense, ever. Even after going through... The game is very simple has a very simple premise. The premise of the game is as follows. You collect keys, you use those keys to open the same colored doors. That's it. There's 100 rooms you have to go through. Each room has its own puzzle, has its own monsters to avoid, what have you. It's very, very simple. The problem with this game, and of course it's the same problem that a lot of Nintendo games faced in the early well, actually something that a lot of these games faced for quite a while, where the game art itself, as far as the package goes, never really matched the same experience that you got when you actually took the game out of the box and started playing it. One game that comes to mind in particular is the original Mega Man, where the original Mega Man, the Japanese box art looked very close to what the game actually was, but the American box art was terrible. There we go. So you have a man in a yellow and blue sort of rubbery looking suit. It's ugly ass box art. And the fact that that was the box art that was released for that particular game when it came out in the United States is appalling to me. Castlequest also kind of fell under the same trap, where the Japanese box art was you know, it had the character on the box. It's cutesy, squat. The enemies sort of matched what the enemies look like in the game. It all made sense. Whereas the American version, the box art kind of replicated some sort of like a Three Musketeers vibe, where there were knights and demons and some busty ass chick, you know, put on a post somewhere. It was totally different from the experience that you actually got when you brought the game home, loaded it up for the first time, and started playing it. And again, you know, this kind of stuff was commonplace. This game is... I don't know how it got a sequel, but apparently it did. The game was originally released for the MSX computer system and the SG-1000, which is an early... not the Master System, but it's an early computery type early, kind of like the Famicom. It was an early system that Sega had released in Japan. Naturally, the game did not, Castle did not get released in the United States, and rightfully so, because, I don't know, if the sequel's not any good, I can't imagine that the original game was much better. This game is just, you know, I like puzzle platformers now, but this game, even now, I still have a hard time playing. It's just not very... It's kind of an ugly-looking game. And when you're used to having... I guess at this point, when the game came out in 1989, at this point you've already had the first 2 Zeldas, you've had Mega Man's 1 and 2, you've had Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, you've even had the Castlevania games. The original Castlevania game, I think, was 86, Castlevania 2 was 88. You're very used to having games that are responsive, have interesting worlds, have tight controls, just have like a sense of speed, and just sort of like this. I guess the feeling's kind of hard to describe, but it's a feeling that Castlequest, when it was released in 1989, clearly did not have in comparison to those games. So it's tough to go back to it even now, realizing the fact that it's just a crappy game, and that's really all there is to it. So if I was asked to review this game today, and I had a rating scale of awful to 1, I would give this game a double awful, and I would still try to justify it. The game's not very friendly at all. It's very easy to get stuck. Your character's slow. All the items and objects can kill you. There's one particular section that I'm thinking of where there's a barrel that you're supposed to jump over, but if the barrel touches you, you die. So it's like the game basically is out to get you. And in a lot of cases, you know, if the items are easy to avoid or if the character has a pretty quick response time, you can usually get through those pretty easily. But your character is just so slow in everything that he does. You know, I mean, this particular era of gaming is tough because you want everything to be a classic. And unfortunately, you do play those games where you just have to admit, you know, something's just not very good and you gotta move on.